Why didn't Saddam Hussein back down before the Gulf War? Animated history documentary. What drove a dictator to gamble everything and lose it all? Unpacking the miscalculations, pride and geopolitics behind Saddam Hussein's fateful decision. 1. The stage is set. Iraq's invasion of Kuwait. On August 2, 1990, Saddam Hussein made a move that would change the course of history. He ordered Iraqi forces to invade and annex neighboring Kuwait. Within hours, Iraq had seized control of the tiny, oil-rich nation, claiming it as Iraq's 19th province. The invasion shocked the world, triggering widespread condemnation and setting the stage for what would become the Gulf War. But why didn't Saddam back down when faced with overwhelming international pressure? To understand his decision, we must delve into the complex web of ambition, miscommunication, and hubris that defined his leadership. 2. Saddam Hussein, a man of pride and paranoia. Saddam Hussein was no ordinary ruler. Rising to power in 1979, he ruled Iraq with an iron fist, cultivating an image of strength and invincibility. Yet beneath this facade lay a deeply insecure leader, obsessed with maintaining control and securing his legacy. Key traits that shaped his decision: pride and nationalism. Saddam saw himself as a modern-day Saladin, destined to restore Arab glory. Annexing Kuwait, a country he dismissed as an artificial creation of British colonialism, was framed as reclaiming stolen land and resources. Paranoia and mistrust. Years of conflict, including the brutal Iran-Iraq War, 1980-1988, had left Saddam distrustful of foreign powers. He believed they were conspiring against him, even as he relied on them for support. Delusions of invincibility. After surviving 8 years of war with Iran and emerging relatively unscathed, Saddam convinced himself that Iraq could withstand any challenge, even from superpowers like the United States. 3. The miscalculations that led to war. Saddam's refusal to withdraw from Kuwait stemmed from a series of critical miscalculations about the intentions and resolve of other nations. These errors in judgment sealed his fate. Misreading America's response. In July 1990, just weeks before the invasion, US Ambassador April Glaspie met with Saddam Hussein. During their meeting, Glaspie reportedly emphasized that the US had no opinion on disputes between Iraq and its neighbors. Saddam interpreted this as tacit approval for his plans, an assumption that proved disastrously wrong. Underestimating global unity. Saddam assumed that Western countries, particularly the US, would prioritize economic interests over military intervention. He also believed Arab states would rally behind him, viewing Kuwait's annexation as a legitimate act of Arab nationalism. Instead, the international community united under a UN resolution authorizing force if Iraq failed to withdraw. Overconfidence in military strength. Having fought Iran to a stalemate, Saddam overestimated Iraq's military capabilities. He believed his army, one of the largest in the region, could deter or withstand coalition forces. What he didn't anticipate was the technological superiority and precision of the US-led coalition. 4. The role of propaganda and image. Saddam's decision not to back down was also driven by his obsession with projecting strength. For decades, he had cultivated an image of invulnerability, using propaganda to portray himself as a fearless leader. Retreating from Kuwait would have shattered this illusion, undermining his authority both domestically and internationally. The cost of saving face. By doubling down on his aggression, Saddam hoped to avoid appearing weak, but this fixation on image blinded him to reality. Rather than averting disaster, his stubbornness ensured it. 5. The Gulf War and its aftermath. When Saddam refused to withdraw despite repeated warnings, Operation Desert Storm, began on January 17, 1991. Over the next 6 weeks, coalition forces launched a devastating air campaign followed by a swift ground assault. By February 28th, Iraq had been routed and Kuwait was liberated. For Saddam, the war was a catastrophic defeat. Tens of thousands of Iraqi soldiers died. Much of the country's infrastructure was destroyed and sanctions crippled its economy. Worse still, his reputation as a strongman was irreparably damaged. 6. Why didn't he just back down? Looking back, Saddam's refusal to retreat seems baffling. Why risk so much for a small piece of territory? The answer lies in a combination of factors. Personal hubris. Saddam genuinely believed he could outmaneuver the world's most powerful nations. Fear of appearing weak. Backing down would have exposed cracks in his authoritarian regime, potentially emboldening internal dissent. Misinformation and isolation. Surrounded by sycophants who feared contradicting him, Saddam lacked access to accurate information and unbiased advice. Ultimately, his inability or unwillingness to see the bigger picture cost him dearly. Conclusion: lessons from a leader's downfall. The story of Saddam Hussein and the Gulf War serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked ambition, poor decision-making, and the perils of isolation. It reminds us that leaders are not infallible and that pride can be a nation's undoing.